meditation is not just to escape. It's like, oh, I've had a tough day and everything. I go into meditation. Oh, it's so nice. That's nice, okay? That's part of it. The purpose of meditation is to be able to go back into the turbulence with grounding in the silence. Ooh, this is sweet, okay? So the program is predicated on robust and rigorous improvisatory experience and studies, and also engagement with meditation practice so that these things can inform each other. So you go like right to the silent depths of the ocean, and then it's like you engage in all of life. It's like, because people think, oh, I'm into meditation. It's kind of like I want to avoid going to, it's like, I'm not going to go to parties. I'm not going to, definitely not go to the football game, It's like, or play sports. But the thing is, it's the opposite. The purpose is so that you can engage in all of life, interpersonal, and it's like have fun and everything like that. But now you're grounded in subject depth. So now you situate this in an awareness that begins to look out, and you start to examine. You're not only excelling because you have this incredible grounding, but you're also situating what you do in this broader perspective of of the world, and you're driven by how you can contribute to the world. It's not just you're not just like engaged in the field cut off. So let me see now. Is there more I can say about the program? So that's like the basic thrust of the program is that creativity and consciousness studies, that these things work together. These are kind of two new waves in the academy. Yeah. Well, you guys asked some good questions, hard ones too. Whew. What is consciousness? That's like, yeah. That was the hardest one. I was like, yeah. Consciousness is it's like the essence of the human being. We're self-aware. It's like the basic self-awareness in human experience, and also in the cosmos. Yeah.
Wouldn't that also apply to the physical beings, which you said don't have such self-awareness?
They're facets of the self-awareness, and they're facets of the self-awareness, but they don't necessarily have like a sort of conscious, reflective structure. Yeah. Yes.
Do you want more questions on this, or?
Yeah.
So, in the division of the perceptual study, you're talking about this consciousness and the sort of idea of the transcendence and rebirth. Are adults aware of these things, or do they only study children? So in the fact-checking of these stories, is there necessarily a bias because it's funded by this one person who's interested in it?
I think that person's probably dead by now. But this is a great question. So there's two questions. All right.
So the first one was
Yeah.
the adult.
Yeah. I think the thing is, there are adults that have this recall, but I think what happens is that children, again, going to the conditioning issue, children are less, for one thing, they're younger, so it's like less time has elapsed. They're less conditioned. Their imaginations are less enculturated to kind of repress things that don't fit in. So I think you get more reports of these from children. Children have not been taught that this is not right, and whereas adults have, most of us. Or we've come up through this school system to basically repress like aspects of our imagination. So I think, to me, that makes a lot of sense that most of these memories would be something that would be recalled by children. Yeah. Now, in terms of the bias, I mean, that's a very interesting question. I mean, so you have somebody that wants to devote millions of dollars to this thing, but I think, you've got teams of scientists that surely ask that same question.
Scientists are biased.
Well, absolutely, yeah. But I think in this case that now you have generations. Like Ian Stevens himself has passed away. The originator of it. And you have I know these people, and I think I don't know how the bias could sway things in such a direction that would I mean, of course, it's a good question to always ask, for sure. But yeah, yeah.
In that same vein, you said that they often had recollections of their own deaths or their
Yeah.
illness in the locations that they were describing. Are there medical or criminal records where they were said to have died? Like, do the facts line up?
Yeah, that's a great question, and yes, absolutely. And there were in some of the most vivid cases, the child would go with this team of scientists and their parents, and they probably actually, they probably had it set up where maybe they left, after, like, maybe the parents weren't always with the kids, but they would actually remember individuals' names, individuals' names in a town. Yeah. So there were corroboration with all those. I can get you literature, like if you want to, let me see now. Look, if you go to the website of the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia, they'll have all kinds of literature and even videos and stuff like that. Yeah. Interesting though, isn't it? I mean, it's just like, yeah. Yes?
I just want to add, I read Ian Stevenson's book too, and one of the things that struck me was that with children, it was much easier to study because there weren't other factors like was there false memory, was this person exposed to something about this knowing of these situations, this town or whatever, whereas a child who was in an isolated community who reported these things, that everybody could vouch that this child wasn't exposed to television, didn't see anything about, that could very scientifically say there's no other explanation, whereas there's a lot of factors with adults who had these similar kind of experiences that they couldn't as cleanly scientifically study.
Yeah. But these are good things, and the thing I would say is that when you encounter kinds of things like this, there's two things to do. Situate it within a broader worldview, okay? Rebirth, the concept, okay, so is it coherent with our current understanding, like in my circles, okay, my understanding of human consciousness, is it coherent with that? If it is, then there's encouragement to go further. If it's not, you want to critically examine your understanding of consciousness. How is that informed? Is it informed by a broad range of things, or is it, and in this case, it's coherent with actually visions of consciousness that have been handed down through the millennia, and also emergent findings from the scientific community itself. So those two things. The other thing is this word skepticism. Like, okay, if I said, how many people would define themselves as, I'm a healthy skeptic? All right, okay, cool, okay, because you're on the path, okay. Just realize that there's again, that's being defined to you by what? By an academic world, all right? And the academic world is very good at sort of directing its gaze at external things. Okay, that's part of it. It's very important. It is really not good at directing its gaze at itself, and it's, okay? So this is what I say for the whole skeptical thing. Ask questions, all right? Ask questions. Question the asker. That means direct it right back. Be as vigilant to the person who's doing the questioning, which is you. This is not so easy, okay? And the thing is, your capacity for leadership in your field, in a fulfilling, an excellence in your field is going to be predicated on these two things. If you can be just as vigilant as you look at that, you got this weird guy coming in, feeding you some pretty heavy shit, okay? It's like, okay, it's like, I don't buy it, It's like, I don't care. You know what I tell my students? Everything I say, take it like this is April 1st, okay? At the end of this, I can say April Fools, right? At the same time, take it as if maybe it's April 2nd, all right? So it's like go into a state of don't believe and don't disbelieve, okay? This is not an intellectual thing. Can you do this? Can you encounter new knowledge with don't believe and don't disbelieve? And then you can then we can start talking about skepticism. There's a great book, there's a very important psychologist named Dean Radin, who's one of the leaders in there's probably at least 12 parameters. I mentioned reincarnation. There are 12 parameters of phenomena that blow materialism out of the water, okay? Dean Radin, is a psychologist, is doing a lot of this work. He has a great chapter in his book called A Field Guide to Skepticism that basically shows that skepticism, as it's put out, the flag of skepticism is waved, like I am a healthy skeptic, is basically as corrupt as any, I mean, just in terms of the integrity of critical examination in a very healthy way. So that's probably as good a place as any to close things off. You've been an amazing and inspiring, I was feeling a little, I've been a little bit under the weather and everything, and I thought, wow, I'm totally cool now, so thank you.